What's up, y'all? Real good here. And this is my first check-in, my first break from the gathering. I don't even know what to call this yet. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and head over to patreon.com/realgoodlife and send me some love. I appreciate you. Let's get it. So what is this? Right now, I'm heading over to Trader Joe's to pick up some stuff that's wanted for the evening meal. I'm happy to take this position because for this particular weekend event, I really took a back seat, which has been really relaxing for me and allowed me to get into some other adventures, but I digress. It certainly feels of genuine value to be willing to sort of bring up the caboose and tie up the loose ends, especially when everyone else has done such a great job of bringing the upfront stuff, like the activities and a whole bunch of the initial food. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to get food. But what is this event? So this event has been a gathering of a small group of friends. There's 7 of us total that have known each other anywhere from a few months to about 10 years. The friend group is pretty particularly chosen for chemistry and compatibility in platonic intimacy. The weekend idea is an overnight or a weekend-long, so immersive, experience-based event so for example, when we first showed up, we did a brief round of check-ins for intention, agreements, just container setting stuff. Then we did a round of uncovery, which we've talked about here. Light uncovery, it wasn't anything serious, just to set the stage, because that's such a healthy way to set the stage for things. And then we got into the first and only experience that we've done so far, which was based around the Wheel of Consent, based around hand activation, which is an experience where we got something that was textured and we sat with ourselves for 5 minutes. And the presenter for this particular activity was great, introduced a good amount of information, and the experience itself I found surprisingly profound. What about the experience? Let's see. For me, I didn't really know what we were getting into. Most of it just didn't. Some people just took the objects that were handed. I went and got ice cubes. And the experience was an offering to sit somewhat reclined, hold a pillow kind of for comfort, and then close our eyes and hold our object and experience our object for about 5 minutes in our hands. And at first, cool, okay, I'm holding an ice cube. But in a wonderfully, cliche fashion, I fell into a sort of child mind and began to experience anew this, which was an ice cube. It now became, for example, something that was slippery and I couldn't actually squeeze. And it also became an object that when held too long in the same place, pain would emerge. And then eventually I would leave it there and notice the pain would emerge and it would stay stationary. It wouldn't get too excruciating. And then so I played with that for a while and avoided excruciating or avoided that level of pain, and then eventually found an experience of opening to that pain and just holding it and having this sort of meta experience where not the immediate experience of the ice cube, but the direct experience was eventually a bit of pain, and then I could find in my relation to it a bit of opening, and I have this sort of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems activated at the same time, having a sort of fight-flight response, as well as an ease and an openness and a peace and presence with something, which all feels like some interesting metaphors for arousal, even though I was just holding an ice cube. Really nice. And so honestly, what ended up happening was I was so delighted by the experience, I felt almost activated into a kind of hypersensitive space, and I opted out of the next round, which involved interactions with others where they were going to really start to do work with the consent wheel. I felt so open and excited and present and hypersensitive. I just sat with that, and I really would have liked to have gone out and meditate, which is interesting because I could have played the Wheel of Consent game with myself and asked for that. So in a way, I did the Wheel of Consent. So let's see, quick thought on that. I won't get into the wheel of consent here, but I did spend a minute. At first, I let everyone know I'm going to pass on the next round. And when they got into dyads for consent-based work, I sat and asked myself for consent. I said, will you... And I wanted to ask myself to go pick up my cushion, but I couldn't articulate exactly what it was I wanted without being afraid that I would impose some sort of exactness and indebtedness on myself. And this feels like a wonderfully terrible, a wonderful metaphor for a terrible relationship that I might have with fear of really making hard decisions and holding myself accountable and responsible, being okay with making the hard, clear decision and being wrong or disappointing myself or feeling in debt and doing that work. So all of this from holding an ice cube. Not really. Being in the space with these folks is absolutely wonderful. Cultivating these relationships and bringing these kinds of minds and love all together in the same place is what creates this. And I want to bring this to you. So honestly, like patreon.com/realgoodlife. Send me some love. In the comments, let me know if you're interested in these kinds of things, weekend workshops and get-togethers like this. And let's do this. Gosh, okay, so I got to go run in and buy some brown rice. And I'll check in with y'all again soon. This has been real good.